Attention all frequencies. You are tuned to Fréquence 7.7, a surviving signal. Stories from what remains. Keep your lights low. Keep your volume high.
My capsule light glowed faintly gold, making everything look half dreamed. The air smelled of disinfectant and recycled breath. Tokyo was somewhere beyond the plastic door, humming softly to itself. Then the floor shuddered, just once, enough to rattle the cup of water I'd left on the ledge. A tremor maybe, but the sound beneath it wasn't earth. It was something electrical, precise. My phone lit with emergency alerts, each a red triangle stacked on the next. Most were in Japanese. One line in English said, "Shelter in place. Avoid ground level. Interference event." I didn't know what that meant, but I knew it wasn't a good kind of message. Sliding open the capsule door, I stepped into a corridor bathed in blue. Rows of doors blinked quietly. Down the hall, a vending machine glowed like a shrine, its cans of coffee lit from within. For a moment, I thought I was the only one awake, until I heard the scrape of something moving below, followed by a human sound cut short halfway through a word. I told myself it was a drill. It had to be a drill. My name is Lena Harrow, 31, systems analyst from Ohio, currently unemployed and pretending that was freedom. I came to Tokyo because I'd spent too long inside windows made of code and wanted to remember what real light looked like. The Capsule hotel had seemed charming, cheap, efficient, anonymous. Now it felt like a coffin that rented by the hour. The mirror caught my reflection as I dressed. Gray eyes, dark hair matted by sleep, expression somewhere between logic and panic. I grabbed my bag, passport, phone, and stepped into the stairwell. Down carried noise, metal, shouting. Up smelled like ozone and rain. I went up. The hum followed, faint at first, then steady. Each step seemed to feed it. When I reached the landing, the lights flickered, washing everything in a pale green that made my skin look borrowed. Through a narrow window, I saw the street below, swimming with red lights. Sirens weaved through traffic that wasn't moving. Above them, billboards glitched, flickering between ads and static. One frame froze long enough for me to read it. "Stay above the noise." The reader on the next door blinked red. I pressed my keycard against it and waited. After a second hesitation, it turned green, almost shyly, and let me through. The women-only floor was painted in pink light and lemon scent. It should have felt safer. It didn't. Most capsule doors were closed. One hung open, the bedding twisted, a hand resting on the lip. The fingers twitched once, then slid back inside, leaving a small smear of blood on the plastic. I walked faster. At the end of the hall, a staff door stood ajar. Inside was a supply alcove, towels, a cart, a half-empty toolbox, and a small pink radio with its antenna bent. A sound came from the corridor behind me. Footsteps. Cautious, but human. A woman appeared, slim, hair pinned back, uniform jacket marked staff. We stared for a heartbeat. I said, "Lena," pointing upward. "Roof?" She nodded once. "Yumi." We didn't need more language than that. The maintenance stairs reeked of metal. The hum thickened until I felt it through the soles of my shoes. On the landing above, a man stood blocking the door. His suit was wrinkled, his phone held high as if it were a weapon or an idol. "Noise," he said in a cracked accent. "You hear the noise?" "Yes," I managed. "We need to reach the roof." He shook his head slowly. "The roof is a mouth," he murmured. "It eats the ones who climb." Yumi's hand brushed my arm. "Move." We slipped past another door, down a side corridor marked laundry/aircon access. The lights stuttered, flickering in rhythm with the hum. I thought I could almost see the sound. We scavenged what we could, a screwdriver, tape, a headlamp, and found a vertical shaft behind a service hatch. The sticker beside it showed a cartoon hand turning a bolt with an arrow pointing up, as if ascent were that simple. We climbed. The air inside tasted like old coins. Halfway up, the hum changed pitch. It shaped itself into something almost like speech, though no part of it was human. I kept climbing. At the top, another lock barred us. Yumi muttered a code, and the keypad hesitated, its red light shifting toward a color I'd never seen before. She turned the dial on her radio, and static answered. Then a voice caught between two languages. IE 7.7. Stay above. The lock released. The maintenance floor was dark, except for the city leaking in through small windows. Below us, Tokyo pulsed in blues and reds. Across the street, people stood on rooftops, phones flashing in patterns. Short, long, short. Morse code for SOS. Then they froze mid-motion. A white drone hovered over them, spraying a mist that looked like rain until they began to fall. Yumi's fingers tightened around mine. We ran. In the next room, racks of equipment blinked like tiny cities. A screen read, "Interference alert / audio range." Another pulsed with a waveform that felt alive. A pair of headphones lay tangled on the floor. When I pressed them to my ears, the hum resolved into voices. Hundreds, layered, whispering my name in tones that didn't belong to any mouth. I dropped them, heart kicking hard. "It's not sickness," I told Yumi. "It's broadcast." She echoed the word, tasting it, and turned her radio again. A tired voice emerged through the noise. "Fréquence 7.7. If you can hear, stay above." Then static swallowed it whole. Something slammed below us. We ran until we found another stairwell, this one leading up. The final door to the roof held fast until the screwdriver met its circuit. Sparks, a cough of smoke, then open air. The night hit like music. Neon, wind, and the smell of rain over concrete. The city stretched in every direction, too bright and too empty. The hum was part of it now, woven through the light itself. We weren't alone. The man from before had followed. His phone hung from its charger cord like a leash, screen bleeding red. His smile was wrong. He moved toward us, humming the same tone the city did. We tangled in motion. Yumi's elbow met his chest. I struck with the rope coil I'd carried up. It barely slowed him. Together, we tripped him and bound his arms to a vent post, the rope cutting into his suit like vines, reclaiming a statue. He laughed, but the sound came out as static. We covered the roof hatch with a tarp and gravel. Below, someone or something pounded once, twice, then stopped. I pulled out my phone, battery low. I switched the flashlight on and began to pulse. Short, 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 long, 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 short, short, short. Across the river, someone answered. Tiny lights blinked back, tentative, but alive. Yumi adjusted her radio. The voice returned, closer this time. Transmissions. 7.7. Stories that travel farther than signal. Then another voice, official, colder. Police aerial units authorized. Dispersal gas in effect. Do not congregate. The drone rose again, white and precise. It hovered over us, deciding. I flashed the phone. Yumi waved the tarp. The drone exhaled a colorless mist. My throat burned, my eyes watered, the world tilted. We ducked behind a vent until the air cleared. When I looked up, the billboard across the street showed a single phrase, "We see you." We waited until the word faded. The city breathed shallowly, like something dreaming of people. Lightning flickered, not weather, but transformers, flaring far away. The man in the rope began to sing in perfect imitation of the hum, and the metal mast above him trembled sympathetically. I walked to the edge. Every building around us had its own constellation of blinking phones, tiny Morse stars. We were all spelling the same plea without knowing it. "I quit my job," I whispered, though the wind barely let me hear it. I wanted silence. But silence just teaches you what the noise meant. Yumi stood beside me, said something in Japanese that my heart translated as "we are still here." Then, at last, the helicopter. Blue lights, patient and slow, its search beam swept across us. A cable dropped, ending in a harness. "Go," I told her. She shook her head, pressed the radio into my hand. Lena, she said simply, and I understood that word meant everything else she couldn't. She fastened the harness and rose into the air, spinning slightly in the wash. The billboard behind her shimmered with a color I'd never seen before and will always remember. When the line came back down, the hatch below cracked open. Hands, too many, too fast, gripped the edge. The rope man broke free, grinning with a mouthful of static. I clipped the harness and kicked off as the floor gave way. The cable pulled me into the noise of the blades. The man fell backward into the open hatch, and the sound of him landing was like a book closing on the wrong page. Inside the helicopter, they pulled me in and strapped me down. Across from me, Yumi smiled through her mask, eyes bright despite everything. The city fell away beneath us, a grid of wounded light. Billboards flickered. For rent, sale, ends, midnight, we see you, stay above the noise. The words blended until they meant nothing or everything. We landed on a tower near the river. Medics moved among us with measured urgency, masks, paper cups, blankets. Someone asked my name, where I'd come from, how many were left. I answered as best I could. In one corner of the rooftop, a small radio sat on a crate, its dial fixed. A voice emerged through static, low, human, steady. You are tuned to Fréquence 7.7, it said. Stories that travel farther than signal. If you can hear this, you're above the noise. I laughed softly because I didn't know what else to do. Yumi's hand found mine. The radio continued, a calm thread through the chaos, promising new transmissions, new survivors, voices rising out of the hum. Later, when they asked if I wanted to record a message, I did. My name is Lena Harrow, Capsule Hotel 617, Shinjuku West. I heard the noise. Maybe you do too. It isn't sickness. It's a message with teeth. If your walls start to hum, don't listen with your bones. If you can, go up. If you can't, make your head higher than your fear. Look for lights blinking in code. Short, long, short. We see you. If you find a radio that says Fréquence 7.7, keep it close. It knows some ways out. Not all, but some. Stay above the noise. Stay where the light can find you. When I stopped speaking, the recorder clicked off. The silence that followed was the first I'd trusted in a long time. Through the window, dawn began to paint the river. The hum receded until it was only memory. Yumi slept beside me, her hand still wrapped around mine. The radio spoke once more, gentle, almost tender. You've been listening to Fréquence 7.7. New transmissions come when they can. Stay tuned. Stay alive.
And the listening. Subscribe for more signals. And remember, stay above the noise.